The Fateful Encounter. Maya Patel adjusted the collar of her blouse nervously as she waited outside the gleaming glass headquarters of the Stellar Research Institute. After years of being overlooked at her previous university position, this opportunity felt like stepping into another world entirely. The institute was renowned for its cutting-edge research in astrobiology and the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, her exact specialization. The autumn breeze ruffled her dark hair as she checked her watch. 5 minutes early, perfect. Dr. Patel? Maya turned to find a woman with a crisp lab coat and an efficient smile. Dr. Vale is ready for you now. Following her through security and into an elevator that whispered upward, Maya rehearsed her introduction mentally. Dr. Orion Vale's reputation preceded him. Brilliant, demanding, and notoriously selective about his research team. His papers on potential biosignatures in exoplanet atmospheres had revolutionized the field. The elevator doors opened to reveal a laboratory unlike any Maya had seen before. Holographic star charts hovered in midair. Advanced spectrometers hummed quietly, and floor-to-ceiling windows offered a panoramic view of the city below. Dr. Patel. A deep voice drew her attention. Dr. Orion Vale wasn't what she expected. Younger than his accomplishments suggested, perhaps mid-30s, with intense eyes that seemed to shift between blue and gray depending on the light. He wore a simple black sweater rather than the expected lab coat. His sleeves pushed up to reveal forearms marked with an intricate tattoo of astronomical symbols. Your signal analysis algorithm is impressive, he said, skipping pleasantries. Though your paper underestimated its potential applications. Maya blinked. You've read my work? I've read everything you've published. That's why you're here. He gestured for her to follow him toward a holographic display. Your approach to filtering false positives from potential biosignatures is exactly what we need for the Horizon project. The next hour was a blur of technical discussion as Dr. Vale, call me Orion, outlined the Institute's ambitious plan to analyze atmospheric data from 20 promising exoplanets. Maya found herself completing his sentences, suggesting refinements to his methodology. Her initial nervousness forgotten in the exhilaration of scientific exchange. You start tomorrow, Orion said as their discussion concluded. Not a question, but a statement. I haven't accepted the position yet, Maya pointed out, surprising herself with her boldness. Something flickered in his eyes. Amusement, perhaps. But you will. 3 weeks later, Maya found herself working late, alone in the Institute's private observatory. The funding presentation was tomorrow, and she needed to perfect her visualization of potential biosignatures. The holographic display bathed her in blue light as she manipulated data points with precise gestures. You should be home. Maya startled, turning to find Orion leaning against the doorway, 2 mugs of steaming tea in his hands. So should you, she countered, accepting the offered mug gratefully. I rarely sleep before major presentations. He moved beside her, studying her work. This is good. Better than good. Thank you. Maya sipped her tea, perfectly prepared with honey and lemon. How did he know? I've added temporal markers to show atmospheric changes over time. It makes the pattern recognition more intuitive. Orion nodded, his shoulder nearly touching hers as they stood before the display. The investors will be impressed. Is that all that matters? Impressing investors? The question slipped out before Maya could reconsider it. Instead of the sharp response she feared, Orion smiled slightly. In an ideal world, no. But this isn't an ideal world. And discovering whether we're alone in the universe requires expensive equipment. Their eyes met, and something shifted in the air between them. For a moment, they weren't colleagues discussing funding. They were 2 people bound by the same dream, standing close enough that Maya could detect the subtle scent of sandalwood and something uniquely him. Why did you choose astrobiology? He asked suddenly, his voice softer than she'd ever heard it. Maya considered the question. Because looking at the stars makes me feel simultaneously insignificant and infinite. Orion's gaze intensified. Most people would just say they watched too much science fiction as children. Is that what you expected me to say? No, he set down his mug. You've never once done what I expected, Dr. Patel. That's what makes you intriguing. The word hung between them, charged with meaning beyond the professional. Maya felt her pulse quicken as Orion reached past her to adjust a data point, his arm briefly brushing hers. Tomorrow will change everything, he said, his voice low. Are you ready? Maya wasn't entirely sure they were still talking about the presentation. Yes, she answered anyway, unaware of how prophetic her response would prove to be. The proposition, the funding presentation, had been a resounding success, largely due to Maya's visualization of potential biosignatures. The investors, initially skeptical, had been won over by her passionate explanation and clear data. As she packed up her materials in the now empty conference room, Maya couldn't help but smile. For once her work was being recognized. Dr. Patel, Orion's voice came from the doorway. A word? He looked different today, more formal in a tailored suit that emphasized his broad shoulders, yet somehow more approachable. The presentation's success had softened something in his usually stern expression. Of course, Maya replied, following him to his private office. Floor-to-ceiling windows revealed a stunning sunset, painting the sky in shades of amber and violet. Orion gestured for her to sit in one of the sleek chairs facing his desk, but remained standing himself. You were exceptional today, he said, leaning against his desk. The Santiago Foundation is prepared to fund Phase 1 of our research. That's wonderful, Maya exclaimed. There's a condition. Orion's fingers drummed once against the desk surface. The full funding depends on our attendance at a series of scientific conferences and donor events over the next 3 months. Santiago believes personal connections strengthen investment. That sounds reasonable, Maya nodded, though wondering why this required a private conversation. Orion's eyes met hers directly. They specifically requested your presence alongside mine. Your clarity in explaining complex concepts impressed them. Oh. Maya shifted in her chair. Well, I'm happy to represent the Institute at these events. There's more. Orion hesitated, uncharacteristically uncertain. Santiago and the other. Foundations prefer to support research teams with stability. They've made assumptions about our relationship based on our interaction during the presentation. Maya felt heat rise to her cheeks. What kind of assumptions? That we're more than colleagues. Orion stated it plainly, watching her reaction closely. I didn't correct them. You didn't. Why not? Maya stood abruptly, caught between confusion and indignation. Because securing this funding is crucial for our research. Orion remained calm, and because the assumption gives us an advantage. So you want me to pretend we're... Maya couldn't quite say it. Partners. Yes. Orion straightened. For 3 months. Professional events only. In exchange, I'm offering you lead researcher status on the Horizon project and a significant bonus. Maya stared at him, searching for signs of manipulation or ulterior motives. Instead, she found only intensity in something that might have been vulnerability. This is unorthodox, she said finally. So is my research approach. So is yours. Orion moved toward her, stopping within arm's reach. Think of it as a mutually beneficial arrangement. We both want the same thing, to make discoveries that change humanity's understanding of our place in the universe. Maya considered his proposal. There were no emotional entanglements, just a professional agreement with clear boundaries and extraordinary scientific opportunity. I'll need terms in writing, she said at last, and veto power over any events. Orion's lips curved slightly. Done. First event is tomorrow, the Astronomical Society Gala. As Maya left his office, she told herself this arrangement was purely professional. The fluttering sensation in her stomach when Orion's hand had briefly touched hers was merely anticipation of scientific opportunities ahead. The gala was held at the city's planetarium, the domed ceiling projecting a realistic view of the night sky. Maya arrived separately from Orion as they'd agreed, wearing a midnight blue gown that shimmered subtly like distant stars. She spotted him immediately among the crowd, impossible to miss in his perfectly tailored tuxedo, an island of calm intensity amid the socializing scientists and wealthy donors. Their eyes met across the room, and Maya felt a jolt of something electric pass between them. For a moment, neither moved. Then Orion made his way toward her, navigating through clusters of guests with practiced ease. You look... His eyes traveled from her face to the hemline of her dress and back again, like the embodiment of the cosmos. The compliment, delivered in his usual direct manner, caught Maya off guard. Thank you, she managed. You clean up well yourself, Dr. Vale. Orion, he corrected softly, offering his arm. Partners don't use titles. As his fingers rested lightly against hers, Maya reminded herself this was merely an act. Yet when he guided her through introductions, his hand occasionally touching the small of her back, the lines between pretense and reality began to blur. They moved together with surprising synchronicity. Blurring boundaries. The atmospheric conditions should be perfect, Orion explained as their research helicopter approached the remote mountain observatory. 3 nights of unparalleled stellar visibility. Maya nodded, checking her equipment list one final time. This expedition was crucial. Direct observation of potential biosignature indicators in exoplanet transits using the observatory's advanced spectroscopic telescope. 6 weeks into their arrangement, Maya had grown accustomed to the dual nature of their relationship, colleagues by day, pretend partners during donor events. But this trip would be different. 3 days isolated at the observatory, just the two of them, no audience requiring a performance. The helicopter landed on a small pad beside a gleaming white dome perched on the mountainside. As they stepped out into the thin, crisp air, Maya caught her breath at the view. Endless forest canopy below, pristine sky above. "It's beautiful," she said. Orion glanced at her, something softening in his expression. "Wait until you see it at night." The observatory was more spacious than Maya expected, with a small kitchen, 2 sleeping areas, and the main observatory dome housing the telescope. Modern yet cozy, with large windows showcasing the panoramic mountain views. They spent the afternoon calibrating equipment and reviewing observation protocols. Working alongside Orion had become second nature to Maya. They moved in silent coordination, anticipating each other's needs, exchanging ideas with minimal explanation. As sunset approached, casting long golden rays through the windows, Maya found herself watching Orion as he worked. The usual intensity in his movements was tempered by something she rarely saw, pure childlike excitement. "You really love this, don't you?" she asked quietly. Orion looked up from the computer terminal. "What? The actual science? Not the funding or recognition, just looking at the stars." He was silent for a moment, then gestured for her to join him at the window. "When I was 10, my father gave me a telescope. Nothing fancy, just a basic reflector. The first time I saw Saturn's rings with my own eyes, I knew what I wanted to dedicate my life to." The personal revelation surprised Maya. Orion rarely spoke of his past. "What about you?" he asked. "What drew you to the stars?" Maya hesitated, then decided to match his honesty. "My grandmother. She told me stories about ancient stargazers who believed certain stars were actually other worlds. I wanted to know if they were right." Darkness fell rapidly as they talked, stars emerging in breathtaking clarity. The observation dome opened with a mechanical hum, revealing an unobstructed view of the night sky. "It's time," Orion said, his voice hushed with anticipation. Hours passed as they worked in concert, tracking the transit of their target exoplanet across its star, capturing spectroscopic data with precision. The enclosed dome created an intimate atmosphere, their voices low as if they might disturb the stars themselves. "Look," Orion whispered suddenly, pointing to their data stream. "That absorption pattern in the infrared." "Water vapor," Maya finished, leaning closer to the screen. "And something else." Their shoulders touched as they analyzed the readings, excitement building between them. This could be the evidence they had been seeking. Potential signs of an atmosphere capable of supporting life. "We need to verify with tomorrow night's observations," Orion cautioned, though his eyes shone with barely contained excitement. "But this is promising, Maya. Very promising." He had used her first name, something he rarely did outside of their performances. The sound of it in the quiet observatory sent an unexpected warmth through her. Later, as they sat beside the observatory's large window sharing a late dinner, a streak of light cut across the sky. "A meteor," Orion said, setting down his cup. "There's supposed to be a shower tonight." More streaks followed, silver against the velvet darkness. Without discussion, they gathered blankets and moved outside to a small observation deck. The night air was cold but still, the meteor shower intensifying as they settled side by side. "I've always loved meteor showers," Maya admitted. "They make me feel connected to something larger." Orion was quiet for a moment, his face illuminated by starlight. I've spent my life searching for connection in the stars, he said finally, looking outward rather than beside me. The words hung between them, weighted with meaning. Maya turned to find him watching her instead of the sky, his expression unguarded in a way she had never seen before. Our arrangement, he began hesitantly. It's become complicated, Maya finished. Yes. His hand found hers beneath the blanket, fingers intertwining. I find myself thinking about you when we're not together. Not as my research partner or as part of our agreement, but as Maya. Her heart quickened. Orion. A brilliant meteor cut across the sky, momentarily illuminating them in silver light. Orion's free hand came up to touch her cheek, his thumb tracing her cheekbone in a gesture so tender it made her breath catch. This isn't part of our arrangement, he whispered, his face drawing closer to hers. No, Maya agreed, her eyes closing as his lips met hers. The kiss was gentle at first, questioning, then deepened as she responded. Overhead, meteors continued their celestial dance unnoticed by the two figures whose carefully constructed boundaries had finally dissolved beneath the ancient light of distant stars. The arrival 1 month after the mountain observatory, everything had changed. Maya and Orion no longer pretended. Their connection, both intellectual and personal, had become genuine. Though they maintained professional behavior at the Institute, their private moments were filled with passionate discussions about the cosmos and each other, exploring their newfound relationship with the same intensity they applied to their research. The Horizon Project was progressing rapidly. Their data from the mountain observatory had confirmed unusual atmospheric compositions in 2 of their target exoplanets, potentially indicating biological processes. The scientific community was taking notice, and additional funding had been secured. Maya was reviewing new spectral data in her lab when an institute-wide alert chimed through the building. Emergency meeting, main conference room, immediate attendance required. She found the room already filled with researchers, an unusual tension in the air. Orion stood at the front, his face set in lines of concentration she hadn't seen since their first meeting. Beside him stood Lyra Novak. Maya took a seat, unease growing as Orion began speaking. 12 hours ago, the astral array detected an anomalous signal from Kepler 442b, he announced. The pattern contains non-random elements that suggest artificial origin. Murmurs rippled through the room. An artificial signal, potentially alien communication, was what every SETI researcher dreamed of yet approached with cautious skepticism. Dr. Novak's team at Princeton independently verified the signal, Orion continued, nodding toward Lyra. She's joining our efforts to analyze it further. Lyra stepped forward, her presence commanding. The signal repeats every 67 minutes with precise intervals. Preliminary analysis indicates it's not a natural phenomenon. As the meeting continued, Maya noticed something troubling. Orion and Lyra seemed to share unspoken communication, exchanging glances that suggested prior discussion. Why hadn't he mentioned this to her? After the meeting dispersed, Maya approached Orion in his office. When did you first detect the signal? She asked without preamble. Orion looked up from his computer, his expression carefully neutral. The initial detection came through last week. Last week. Maya felt as if the floor had shifted beneath her. Why am I just hearing about this now? I needed to verify it wasn't instrumentation error before causing excitement. And you chose to verify with Lyra rather than your own research partner? The hurt in her voice was unmistakable. Orion stood, moving around his desk. Maya, it's complicated, so you keep saying. She stepped back as he approached. What else haven't you told me? A flash of guilt crossed his face. Lyra and I have been monitoring anomalous signals from Kepler 442b for several months. Before you joined the Institute, the revelation struck Maya like a physical blow. Months. Our entire Horizon project was genuine, Orion insisted. But yes, partially motivated by earlier detections that weren't strong enough to report officially. And our arrangement? Was that just a convenient way to keep me focused on the project, while you secretly worked with Lyra? No, Orion reached for her, but Maya moved away. What developed between us had nothing to do with... The door opened and Lyra entered without knocking. Orion, we need to discuss the signal modulation patterns. She stopped, noting the tension. Am I interrupting? Yes, Maya said firmly. No, Orion countered simultaneously. Lyra's eyes moved between them, a knowing smile forming. I see some things haven't changed. Still keeping secrets, Orion? That's enough, Lyra, he warned. Does she know about the earlier transmissions? Lyra asked, ignoring his warning. Or about your theory regarding their origin? Maya looked at Orion, seeing the confirmation in his eyes. What theory? That they're not from Kepler 442b at all, Lyra said before Orion could answer. But from something approaching our solar system. The silence that followed was deafening. Maya stared at Orion, waiting for him to deny it, to explain. He said nothing. I think Dr. Patel deserves the truth, Lyra continued, satisfaction evident in her tone. About everything. Maya didn't wait to hear more. She walked out, ignoring Orion calling her name. Her mind raced with questions and realizations. The Horizon Project, their arrangement, their relationship. How much of it had been built on half-truths? That evening, unable to sleep, Maya returned to her lab. If Orion wouldn't give her answers, she would find them herself. She accessed the raw data from the astral array, bypassing the standard processing algorithms to examine the signal directly. Hours passed as she developed her own analysis parameters. What she discovered made her blood run cold. The signal wasn't approaching Earth as Lyra had suggested. It was already here, originating from somewhere within the Institute itself. New Horizons dawn painted the sky in watercolor hues as Maya stared at her computer screen, triple-checking her analysis. The signal detected from Kepler 442b matched transmission patterns originating from somewhere inside the Institute, specifically, from the secured lower levels that housed equipment she had never been cleared to access. She needed to confront Orion, but approaching him directly felt impossible after yesterday's revelations. Whatever was happening, it went deeper than professional deception or personal betrayal. Maya was contemplating her next move when the lab door opened. She expected Orion or perhaps Lyra, but instead found herself face-to-face with a woman she had never seen before. The stranger was striking, tall and elegant with an otherworldly grace. Her complexion had an unusual undertone that Maya initially attributed to the early morning light. Her eyes, though, they were unlike any Maya had seen, with an inner luminescence that seemed to shift colors like distant nebulae. Dr. Maya Patel, the woman said, her voice melodic with an accent Maya couldn't place. We need to talk about Orion Vale, Lyra Novak, and the signal you've been analyzing. Who are you? Maya asked, instinctively putting distance between them. My name is Ilara. The woman closed the door behind her. I'm a consultant for a special division of the Institute, and I know that you've discovered the signal isn't coming from Kepler 442b. Maya's suspicion grew. How do you know what I've discovered? Because I've been monitoring your work since you joined the Horizon Project. Ilara moved closer, her movements fluid and precise. You're exceptional, Dr. Patel. More intuitive than we anticipated. We? Maya edged toward the emergency call button beneath her desk. That won't be necessary, Ilara said, noticing the movement. I'm not here to harm you. I'm here to offer clarity. Something in her calm assurance made Maya pause. What do you know about the signal? Everything. Ilara's expression softened. Because I sent it. For a moment, Maya thought she had misheard. That's impossible. Is it? Ilara asked. You've dedicated your career to finding evidence of extraterrestrial intelligence. Why is it so hard to believe when that intelligence finds you? The implication was too fantastic, yet Maya found herself unable to dismiss it entirely. There was something about Ilara that defied conventional explanation. If what you're suggesting is true, Maya said carefully, why reveal yourself to me and not to the entire scientific community? Because not everyone is ready. Orion understood this when we first made contact 3 years ago. Orion knows? The betrayal cut deeper than Maya had imagined possible. He was chosen as our initial contact, Ilara confirmed. Lyra discovered us accidentally during their partnership. Her reaction was concerning. She sees us as a resource to exploit rather than allies. Maya's mind raced, connecting pieces of a puzzle she hadn't known existed. The Horizon Project was created to identify worlds where my people might establish diplomatic relations, yes. Ilara nodded. But it evolved into something more when you joined. Your perspective changed, Orion, changed the mission. Before Maya could respond, the lab door opened again. Orion stood in the threshold, his expression shifting from concern to resignation when he saw Ilara. You told her, he said simply. She was going to discover it anyway. Ilara replied. She already traced the signal to its source. Orion's eyes met Maya's, filled with apology and something deeper. I should have been the one to tell you. Yes, you should have, Maya agreed, anger and hurt coloring her voice. 3 years, Orion. You've been in contact with extraterrestrial intelligence for 3 years and said nothing. I was bound by agreements, he explained, moving into the room. Revealing their presence prematurely could have ended the relationship entirely. And us? Maya asked quietly. Was that part of your agreement too? No, Orion's response was immediate and fierce. What happened between us was unexpected. Real. The only real thing in years of secrets and protocols. Ilara watched their exchange with curious interest. Your connection was noted in our observations. It's part of why I'm here now. What do you mean? Maya asked. My people are ready for wider contact, but we need representatives who understand the balance between scientific progress and emotional intelligence. The original plan was for Orion alone to serve as intermediary, but his connection with you changed that equation. You want us both, Maya realized. As a unit, you represent the ideal balance of analytical skill and intuitive understanding, Ilara confirmed. But this decision must be mutual and informed. No more secrets or half-truths. Orion moved closer to Maya, not quite touching her. I wanted to tell you everything from the beginning. But I was afraid not just of breaking my agreement with Ilara's people, but of how you would see me afterward. And now? Maya challenged. Now I know that secrets between us are more damaging than any truth could be. His eyes held hers, vulnerable and honest. I'm sorry, Maya, for everything I didn't tell you, but never for what grew between us. Maya felt the anger that had sustained her beginning to crumble. What happens if I agree to this? Diplomatic role. We would work together as liaisons, Orion explained, helping prepare humanity for the knowledge that we are not alone. And if I refuse? Then I step away as well, Orion said without hesitation. I won't continue without you. Ilara nodded in agreement. The choice is yours, Dr. Patel, but know that few humans ever receive such an opportunity. Maya looked between them, her scientific mind racing with questions while her heart struggled with truths revealed and concealed. The arrangement that had begun as professional pretense had evolved into something far more significant than either of them had imagined. I need to see everything, she decided. All the data, all the communications. No more filtered information. Agreed, Ilara said immediately. Orion's relief was palpable. Thank you for considering it despite my mistakes. I haven't forgiven you yet, Maya clarified. But the scientist in me can't walk away from this discovery. And the woman? Orion asked softly. Maya met his gaze steadily. Needs time, and complete honesty from now on. He nodded, acceptance and hope mingling in his expression. Complete honesty? I promise. As the sun rose fully over the Institute, Maya found herself standing at the threshold of discovery beyond anything she had imagined. Not just of distant worlds that might harbor life, but of a future where the arrangement between her and Orion might evolve into something neither had dared to hope for. A partnership based on truth, spanning work that would change humanity's understanding of the cosmos forever. In reaching for the stars, Maya had found something equally precious here on Earth. And as she stood between Orion and Ilara, she knew that whatever came next, the boundaries between science and emotion, between the cosmic and the personal, had been forever transformed. The arrangement had ended. The journey was just beginning.